10 or 12. Leaving Mount Pazu. Yes, I know it's not technically the name. I know that it's actually one of those fanon names added via games and stuff like that. But I'm still calling it Mount Pazu, and none of you will stop me! Despite, or perhaps because of all the stress he had been under, Gohan was the first to wake up in his household. After carefully getting out of bed, so as not to disturb Videl, he got to the hall, passing his daughter's room and the two guest rooms where Ice King and Mr. Satan left. Quietly, he made his way downstairs, where decorations of the previous night greeted him. His movement stopped once he once again took into sight. He still couldn't believe his friends and family had organized such a party for him. He closed his eyes and thought back to the moment he walked onto the door. Surprise! Happy birthday, Gohan! A smile stretched across his face as he reminisced upon the good times he shared with everyone. And amid his particular party full of fun and laughter. Everything was perfect. That is until he showed up. Hey, you guys made me cake! Gohan shook his head as he opened his eyes back up. His conscious state came back to the present. I have to move forward, he told himself. He didn't check his watch. 8:13 a.m. All his friends would be up by now, no doubt wondering what had happened after he left. Sighing, he walked to the nearby study and prepared to call everyone to apologize. Oh, by the way, you folks might have noticed right about now that the cover art to this entire story has so far been nothing but Vegeta, and more Vegeta. Well, that is because Trunks, Vegeta, and Gohan are my favorite characters in Dragon Ball, and so is Piccolo. So guess what? That means I have more attachment to this fic than you realize. Meanwhile, in the adjacent home, another demi-sane was waking up. Goten yawned as he stared in bed. The morning sun seeping in through his window had pestered him enough to finally get up. He was still apprehensive about leaving the cover of his room, though. The events of the previous night had taken its toll on everyone, and he was certainly no exception. Having heard certain things for the very first time, which still makes absolutely no sense! He began to question what he thought he had known about his father and family. This reevaluation had made him toss and turn in bed late at night, always to come to sleep because of sheer mental exhaustion. It was now the morning after. The more conscious Goten became, the more reality stepped in. He sighed heavily as he began to wonder what today would hold. Gohan was not only moving, but he was also cutting up their father from his life. At this point, it was anyone's guess that this issue would eventually resolve itself, or that today truly would be the last day Gohan ever saw his father again. While this prospect made him sad, he was beginning to have a better understanding as to where his brother was coming from. He had not known many things until last night. Family secrets were starting to come out. Why were they even secrets? And it was clear there was a different perspective on events that had occurred in the past. You know what? It's your humduck story. You tell it. What Gohan had to say made him reflect even upon the first impression he had on his father. Growing up, he had only known this so-called Goku through pictures and stories he had heard from friends and family. To him, Gohan and Piccolo had been more like father figures than brother and mentor, respectively. Really? Because it looked like Piccolo spent a lot of time on the lookout. When Goku appeared, it took him some time to think of him as a father, rather than something like an uncle who just appeared one day. But now, with these new revelations, he was starting to go back to the stage of uncertainty. For the first time in a long time, he was questioning just who is Son Goku. After getting dressed, he took a deep breath and ventured out of his room. He made his way to the kitchen. He rolled his hair and wiped the sleep away from his eyes. He opened them again and saw his father sitting at the end of the kitchen table, with a pensive look as he stared at his cup of tea. Really? Because I think Goku would be drinking... Dad, okay, why not? He said, rather surprised his father was up this early, given what happened the previous night. Morning, Goten! Goku responded without looking up, his voice as solemn as demeanor. Good morning. Goten returned without much enthusiasm. He didn't know what quite to say. After a short pause, he finished walking into the kitchen and opened the cupboard to fix himself some breakfast. It was an awkward moment between the two. Goten realized that he felt anger, and at the same time sympathetic towards his father. Therefore, he didn't know where to begin the conversation. The only thing he knew, what he felt deep in his heart, was that in time he and his father would be able to move past this. He couldn't forgive his father's transgressions, but he couldn't force his brother to do the same. As Goten poured his cereal, Goku felt a terrible struggle of emotions that his son was going through. However, he didn't know where to start. There was a little part of him thinking, or perhaps hoping, that this was being blown out of proportion, that Gohan just had a bad day and had taken it out on him, but he knew that was true. Finally, he decided he had to say something, no matter how sore it was. Goten? He muttered, still not looking up. Huh? I'm sorry. Goten stared at his father for a moment. He knew the apology was genuine. But at the same time, the context he needed to take some time to properly digest, and said certain things had been revealed. In the end, there was only one way he could respond. I know. He muttered back, and continued making his breakfast. That was a nice scene. Alright, goodbye, Krillin. Gohan said as he hung up the phone. Letting out a deep breath, he leaned back in his chair. He just finished calling everyone to apologize for his actions the previous night. Vegeta told him to fuck off. Expressing sincere remorse, he found all his friends to be forgiving, except for Vegeta. Of course, he faced the difficult questions regarding what happened once he got back home, if he had a chance to talk with his father. Gohan knew this question was going to come up, and been thinking how to respond to it. For the most part, he tried to keep his answer brief. He told everyone he had to speak to Goku and get some things off his chest. However, he was trying to move forward from this, and in doing so, that meant having some separation from his father. A few of his close friends inquired further, asking exactly what he meant. All of my friends are 20 years older than me! I've got no friends my age! Again, he tried to keep his answers vague. It was not his desire to badmouth his father, no matter how much hurt it caused by him. Others had a good relationship with Goku. He just couldn't count himself part of that group. Vegeta made fun of Goku, of course. More than anything, he simply wanted to move on. After fielding more questions, most of his friends began to get an understanding where he was coming from, even if they didn't have the full picture. I wonder how the phone call with Vegeta went. Vegeta, I decided not to talk to my dad anymore, and I decided to blame him. Oh, grow a pair, you pansy! What? But I thought you... You heard me! I said grow a freaking pair! Man up and get a spine, you little pansy waste! But... Oh, look at the baby! Where? Excuse me, I'm coming over there right now, and if I don't see your eyes dry up, I'm going to punch you straight in the balls, you hear me? What? You heard me, brat! In the balls! I'm going to make you speak high pitch for the rest of this fic! Or at least this chapter. Yeah, click. He wouldn't really do that, would he? Mr. Reader, sir? You look like wouldn't let Vegeta punch me hard in the balls. Crack. What can I say? Vegeta does not listen to me when I have him in these readings. He's broken the fourth wall. He's broken the plot barrier. He's done a lot of crap that just pisses him off. And, go on, I suggest you better get a cup. What? Wham! You may continue. Yes, my liege. God took time on his watch, 9:37 a.m. He bent over the hour on the phone. He knew, however, that discussions would not stop there, but it did today. Setting up from his desk, he began to make his way back to the living room. His family would be up soon. They needed to get a few things together before they moved out by noon. As he opened, a familiar figure was sitting in a nearby chair, waiting for him. Grandpa! He gasped. He did not hear his grandfather come down the stairs, and therefore he did not expect him to be outside his study. Without saying anything, Ice King stood up and approached his grandson and embraced him in a hug. It caught Gohan completely by surprise, but after he realized his grandfather had been listening and was now aware of what everyone else was regarding the situation, he returned the hug. I miss Ice King's helmet. Good. Ice King spoke after a moment. His voice, like many others, so concerned. They broke for their hug. He looked at his grandson. I want you to know I'm not going to judge your decisions based on what you think is for your family. No matter what, you'll always have my support. He then sighed while Gohan continued to stare up at him. Well, I hope in the future you'll be able to give your father another chance. Despite what you may think, he does care for you. Gohan averted his eyes from him, even Watsuki, knowing as much as anyone else, was Gohan purposely trying to keep vague. He'd been able to read in between the lines to understand what was truly going on. Whereas some of his friends were equally perceptive, but simply decided not to inquire further. Regardless, he respected his grandfather too much to lie to him. I'm sorry, but I can't. There's just no way I can forgive him. He doesn't care for me. He still answers his actions. Oski looked down emphatically. I know you've been around much throughout your life, but people can't change. All of this might change them. I repeat my earlier statements about all the times that Goku hadn't been there for Gohan hasn't been his fault. Gohan let a smile across his face. You only made that simple. Ooh? Oski gave a confused look. Then he said and looked back at his grandfather. It's not just him being answered. It's more than that. There are things you don't know about which... He was unable to finish. So, Veggie-chan. Yeah? Do you think there's going to be actually something worthwhile in this? Absolutely not. True, with the way things are going, Trixie has this strange feeling that, he's going to mess up the Cell games. There's going to be something stupid here coming from the Cell games. Oh yeah, speaking of which, Vegeta, when Goku quit, why didn't you jump in? Oh, I thought it was obvious. I was hoping Gohan would fuck it up so I could step in. I thought as much. Gohan, Fidel shouted as he came down the stairs, unknowingly interrupted the conversation. Turn around and see your husband and grandfather-in-law in the hallway. Before she could ask what was going on, Gohan spoke up. Hey, you're up! I hope we didn't wake you. Fidel shook her head. No, I woke up naturally. We better hurry and pack the remaining things. We have to be at the new place by 4 p.m., remember? Fidel nodded. Gohan smiled. I mean, when you ask you to wake up everyone else, I'll finish getting the kitchen packed up. Grandpa can get the living room, and we can wait for near. That sound good? Oski slightly nodded, not really knowing what else to do. Well, Fidel agreed and went back upstairs. Gohan turned to his grandfather, acting like the conversation just never happened, explained, there are empty capsules for the furniture at the desk. Oh, you remember capsules, Vic? He seems to be labeled, but you should need to know where to find me. And with that, he made his way to the kitchen, leaving Ice King a little confused at what his grandson just mentioned. What do you mean, there are things you don't know? I swear, Vic, it better be good! 12 p.m. The sun gleamed through the cloudless sky as the moment of departure arrived. There was a great juxtaposition between the beautiful spring day and the event that was taking place between the two houses at the mountain base. Fidel and Pan began to say their goodbyes to Chi-Chi, Goten, and Ox King. Behind them, Gohan, with the help of his father-in-law, was placing the last of the moving boxes to the hover car. Nearby, Piccolo, who had come to see Gohan off, leaned against the side of the house. The only thing missing was Goku, who looked on for the kitchen of his home. The scientist did not want a conversation with his son. Felt this was the place for him to be at the moment. Piccolo! Gohan called out. Can you put the house back into the capsule? The Meki pressed the appropriate buttons, and in an instant, all that was left was a tiny capsule surrounded by a large circular brown spot where the foundation of the house had been. It wouldn't take long before the area was covered with grass, and any traces of where the house used to be would disappear. Wait a minute! You mean you know about capsules? You know how capsules work in this story? You know how... Ah! I don't know if you know this, but ignoring world building only to bring it up when it's necessary annoys me hard. Piccolo picked up the small capsule brought over to Gohan. Thanks, he says. He tosses a container and shut the side door of the hover car. He then began to tremble, which made Piccolo concerned. Gohan? He said in a whisper as enough to draw attention to the young man. Gohan took a deep breath and then faced his former mentor.
I'm alright. Just good to be moving.
He then looked around.
A lot of bad memories associated with this place.
Piccolo looked down sympathetically. Even Mount Paozu, as beautiful as it was, held a painful remembrance. Things had truly changed. The two stood in silence for a brief moment. Then Gohan embraced him in a hug.
Thank you, Piccolo. You always been there for me.
Yeah, like when he threw you to a mountainside. Left you to die for 6 months. Basically just sat by and trained with you. Did not do anything to help you during the Cell games. Yep. Always been there.
You always fucking about our place. We had plenty of room.
Yeah, Piccolo smiled and nodded. From afar, Goku watched his arrest take place. The fact that his son saw his former rival as his father figure became more apparent to him by the scene that was playing out before him. He began to question again what he had done regarding certain decisions he had made. Have you guys ever noticed that whenever they try to put what they consider normal emotions into these stories, it always comes out as fake? Like, it just doesn't feel like these characters. It always feels like what the writer sees these characters as. Understanding it was now time, Gohan left Piccolo at the hover car and made his way to Vidal's side.
It's time to go,
he declared. Chi bit down on her handkerchief as best she could to hold back tears. Shut up, bitch! Vidal and Pan started saying their goodbyes with Gohan behind him.
Grandpa!
Gohan says he gave grandfather a hug. He moved to his brother.
Goten!
His voice started to crack. He and Goten had always been together from the day Goten was born. And even though his brother was 18 years old now, Gohan still saw him as a baby brother. Though it was tough to say goodbye would be an understatement. The two brothers embraced a deep hug as they both began to share tears. I'm going to miss you, Gohan.
I'm gonna miss you too, Goten.
Gohan returned.
Be sure to take care of Mom for me.
Yeah, as they broke for the hug, Goten nodded. Gohan then turned to the bitch, who was already losing her battle fighting back tears.
Mom,
But he was interrupted by her. Oh, John! She cried as she hugged him, sobbing on his shoulder. Her little boy was leaving after all these years.
Mom,
he said soothingly to calm her down.
Come here, okay. We won't be far away. You'll be able to visit us anytime you want.
So long as you actually learn how to fly, get a driver's license, you know, be a contributing member to society. Cici continued to sob, but eventually gained enough control to let her the tight embrace that he had on her son. She looked at his eyes and that calming smile on his face. She kept thinking to herself how much her little boy had grown up. For a moment, they forgot everything that had happened and remembered the good times rather than the bad. Gohan sighed and looked at Videl.
Alright, I guess we better be going.
He then turned to face his daughter.
Ready, Pan?
She wasn't there. He looked up and he saw his daughter running towards his parents' house, where the man he now referred to as Goku stood in the doorway.
Grandpa!
Pan cried as tears from her cheeks. She had seen him open the door and everyone was saying their goodbyes. He realized she couldn't leave without saying goodbye to him as well.
Grandpa.
She cried as he ran into Goku's arms. Gohan stood still for a moment as he had flashbacks to last year at the Tenkaichi Budokai, when Pan ran towards Goku. He only came back to reality when he felt the stares of his family on him. He only moved past and walked towards his daughter and father.
Go on!
GT pleaded, worried about another altercation, but Gohan knew better.
Grandpa!
Pan muttered as he wiped the tears from her face. Pan, don't cry, Goku said, trying to comfort her.
But Dad said we will see you for a very long time.
Well, you know, Pan, you could ask Dad to teach you to fly. Also, as he was reading his mind, Pan looked down through the tears.
He said you hurt him a lot when he was younger and doesn't want you to hurt me.
I don't get it. Goku looked at his granddaughter's eyes. You could tell she was confused by everything that was going on. So is this reader, but... He did his best to explain the situation without going too much detail. Well, Pan, your dad's a wimp. Why do you think Vegeta punched him hard in the balls?
Pan, it's time to go.
Pan turned her face to his face her father.
Okay.
She turned back towards Goku and gave him a hug. Hope everything works out, Grandpa. It's whispered, but Gohan could still hear it. He saw the connection the two had. For a second, questioning if he was doing the right thing. It was only for a second, though. Memories of how much hurt his father had caused was still ingrained in his mind. What he saw for him was his father playing the innocent type. It was how he won people over.
Playing the...
Gohan? You are being stupid! As he blasted off, Gohan sat back inside. Felt as the chapter finally closed and he was now starting a new one. Future held promise for him and his family. So, think over? No, of course not! It would never be that easy for me!